Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special vlog video. Today we are going to be going on a cruise to Alaska. Recently, I went out with my family on vacation on a cruise, and throughout the time I was there, I've been able to record tons of footage around the place, and I want to share that all with you. But first, I'll start off by showing you around the place. Right here is my very first time seeing it, and it was beautiful at first glance. So right here is the front porch of the cruise. We were actually navigating around the place first, so that way we can kind of familiarize ourselves around here. So the first things that we saw was the art gallery featuring a ton of artworks and sculptures, which were pretty nice. Along here, there were actually a ton of stores that had lots of souvenirs and things that we could buy. I mean, I never really bought anything, but it was nice to look around and see all the cool things that we could get from here. I was honestly not expecting this much. Now right here is the Centrum. This is basically the center of the cruise where a lot of people come together and host some events like singing and dancing and games. Can we just stop and admire how beautiful this shot looks? This cruise is a lot bigger than you think it is. There's a lot of places that even I never went to. Like there was a casino, but I never went to it. I kind of just visited the same places over and over again. But it's still nice nonetheless. Just around this way, we were able to see the outside view for the first time, so we were able to get a nice view of the ocean sea from the cruise. And let me tell you, it is so much nicer in person. Right up this way, it leads into the upper areas of the cruise on the outside, and we were able to get a nice view of the ocean sea from here. I spent a lot of times walking around here and just admiring the ocean view, and it's especially better when it's sunny and windy. You could really feel the summer breeze from up here. But we're not even at the highest yet. There's actually even a basketball court over here. And just at the top, there's even a rock climbing area. I never actually did it, but it looks pretty cool. To the right, there's even a little water park area for the little kids. From this point, you can actually get a really nice view of the other cruise. There were a lot of people boarding the ship, and they obviously couldn't fit all people into one, so they split it into 3. So you can really see the other ships from this view. You see, there's over 10 floors to this cruise, and there's only 2 ways that you can navigate around here. You could either use the stairs or the elevators. I'd rather use the stairs because there's so many people here, but we have such limited elevators that it takes forever for an elevator to show up. On every floor, there are little porches where you can see the Centrum, and it's really nice when you can get a view from atop. And here's a nice little relaxing area, and over this way leads to the schooner bar, whatever you call it. And finally, our staterooms. Now, they didn't open the staterooms until the afternoon, so we had to kill some time by navigating around here. But here's what it looks like. It looks like just any ordinary hotel, right? But it is really nice though. That sofa right there, it can actually convert into a bed, and that's where I slept. The workers here really served us a lot during this trip, and they even gave us wine, which my parents were definitely excited for. You'll see a bit of that later. And right here is the balcony, which, in my opinion, is the best place of the whole cruise, because I get to look out into the sea and question many things in life without people looking at me weirdly. Leading on to some more crowded places, there's even a pool over here, which looks very nice. followed by another indoor pool, which again also looks really nice. I never got to swim this entire trip, and I kind of wish I could. You know, I was really worried about taking my camera out in very crowded places because I was worried people are gonna look at me while I take out my camera, but no one really said anything. Anyway, here's another really nice view of the ocean. You know, we actually had many hours of time to look around before the ship actually started moving. We'll get into that later. But for now, enjoy this nice view. Now this is the front of the ship. On our TVs in our staterooms, there's actually a channel that has a camera leading to the front, so you can actually look here without having to leave your room. During my free time, I did a few laps around the top of the cruise while listening to some music, and when it's really nice and windy while the ship is moving, it is probably the most relaxing experience I've ever had. Alright, here's where the cruise starts to move. There is actually a specific time of when it starts to move so we can prepare ourselves. From this view, we can actually see the other cruises moving as well. I must warn you though, if you've never been on a ship before, please be mindful about motion sickness because I thought that I wouldn't get it, but I ended up getting it the next morning when the ship was still moving, and I got so sick I actually threw up. So, probably one of the worst parts of the entire trip. To anyone that's ever going on a cruise, anytime, just be mindful about getting dizzy, because it is one of the worst experiences I've ever had on this trip so far. And that pretty much sums up the entire tour around the cruise. Now, when we were still in Canada, it was nice and sunny, but as we were heading off into Alaska, everything started to get really foggy and cold. So, the warmth was nice while it lasted, but there are going to be a lot nicer things to see in Alaska later on. Now let's head on to some places where we can eat. This right here is the Windjammer, which is basically the main place where we get served some food, mostly consisting of breakfast and lunch. The Windjammer is a buffet where you could serve yourself all kinds of food. And now for a little montage of all the food that I had. For breakfast, I pretty much had the usual stuff. For lunch, I had pretty much the same stuff, which was pizza. But it didn't stop me from trying other foods as well. But that wasn't even the best part. For dinner, we went to a fine dining restaurant that served us tons of food from many different cultures. Can I just say, I'm probably the first person to ever get tired of eating different foods every single day. Oh, and here's my family drinking all wine. And here's another little montage of all the foods that I had. These are all main courses. These are apparently called tacos. And to top it all off, some of the dessert I had. This dessert was by far my favorite. It's like a lava cake, but serve it with ice cream and it is really good. And I thought dinner was the last thing that we would do, but turns out the night is still young. There were a lot of dances that were being hosted on the cruise, and my mom was especially excited, and she would join in and dance with them. She was very happy, so I couldn't stop her. You know, while that dance party was happening, I was looking over and noticed that there was a bridge, and I also saw that the very top part of our cruise was very close to the bridge, and I was so nervous that it was going to hit it. At first, it looked like it was going to, but turns out we're just fine. But goodness. Now, during the later hours, we would usually head to the Pacifica Theater where we would see a bunch of performances, and they usually consist of music and dancing and singing. I will warn you ahead of time though, there are a lot of flashing lights and colors during this segment, so if you can't handle it, you might want to skip it. Now, I obviously couldn't show the entire performance, so here's just a bunch of small clips that I've been able to get. This is the orchestra that played during every musical performance. This guy is the main producer of our entire trip. We also had some stand-up comedy.
Pretty sure we were moving slower than the glacier you're going to see later on this week. Did you enjoy that? That was fun, right? Yeah, that was fun. Just walking like this. By like the 9th pass, you realize you hate someone's face. You just see them for the next hour.
This guy was one of the contestants on American Idol.
This hit that ice cold, Michelle Pfeiffer, that white gold. This one for them good girls, them good girls. Styling, wilding, living it up in the city. Got Chuck's on, we'll sing the rock.
Along with the orchestra again, we also got a Broadway performance. To sum it up, we mainly had singing and dancing.
Good luck on opening night. That's the rule. I'm no fool. Hey, what do I say? I beg. What you say is bring on it. I'm sailing away. Set an open course for the virgin sea, 'cause I've got to be free, free to face the life that's ahead of me. Gentlemen, your place to see is orchestra! A gathering of angels, a beat above my head. They sang to me this song of love. Now this is what they said. They said, come sail away with me. Come sail away with me. Take a ride in that rhythm, everything and everything you got.
Once again, young.
And at the end of every performance, they would usually host more music back at the Centrum. And it gets crazy during the nighttime. I told you, the view is great from atop. But get ready for next morning because we're about to see something really, really cold. Even though it is nice to spend some time on the cruise, there are also lots of things that we're going to be doing outside. The location we'll be going to is Alaska, and one of the first things that we saw while still being on the cruise is a nice glacier view. This is quite a contrast in comparison to Canada, where everything's nice and warm. Now, everything is the exact opposite. Although we were not able to get very close to the glacier, we were at least able to get a good glimpse of it. I know, it's not the most exciting. I mean, I was expecting a lot more too, but I'll take what I can get, I guess. But hold off for a bit because we're going to be visiting some places in Alaska later on. There will be a lot more to see than just ice and mountains. There will be a total of 3 locations in Alaska that we will be stopping to, and the first one is Sitka. Now, Sitka will be the smallest place out of the other 2 that we will be visiting today. This was the first time in a few days that I was actually able to step off of the cruise, and I finally didn't have to deal with any more motion sickness. Now, there are going to be several shops in Sitka that we will be going to, but we actually had to take a transit bus to be able to get there. Yeah, it was raining quite a lot in Alaska, but that's pretty normal, according to the people there. Now, where we stopped was near a little shop that had tons of cool trinkets and souvenirs that are based off of Alaska. And there's actually a really cool looking canoe right here. Heading on inside, there were tons of cool little items that you can buy here. Since I'm not much of a shopper, I enjoyed looking at the stuff rather than actually buying anything. Enjoy the little montage around this place. Okay, we're now out of the shop. So heading over into this direction, there's actually a few more shops that we were able to check out. So there's actually a lot more to Sitka than I thought there was. I honestly thought that that shop was just going to be the only one we were going to go to, but I was wronged. Now there was a lot to unravel here, but we obviously didn't go through every single place. But we went through a good number of them. Our first place is St. Michael's Cathedral, which is basically a church displaying a ton of ancient artifacts. Now, there were many shops that we visited throughout this entire trip, and the only things that I really bought here was just 2 Alaska shirts. Out of the million things that were on display here, knowing my dad, he would probably take pictures of us in literally every single place we go to, and I was correct. He actually bought the same Alaska shirt that I got so we could match, and we took a bunch of pictures together, all wearing the same shirts. My mom surprisingly decided to stop shopping a bit earlier than I thought, so once we were done, we headed on home. Our next stop is Juneau. Juneau is the capital of Alaska. With Juneau being the capital of Alaska, I thought that it would be the biggest place out of the 3 locations we'd be visiting. But turns out there's a lot more in our 3rd location. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert. Just like Sitka, we had to take a transit bus to be able to get to our designated location. The bus driver here was probably the most talkative and energetic driver I've ever seen. Most drivers, they just don't really say anything, but this one literally talked for most of the beginning of the trip. Sadly, it was raining heavily today, so we didn't stay for very long. But we were still able to see the whole picture. There is actually a gondola here, but unfortunately we never went on it. I do remember being on a gondola once before many years ago, and it was cool. Heading over this direction is Tracy's King Crab Shack. This is the place where we stopped to eat. What are your guys' opinion on crab? Honestly, crab was something that I never really bothered to try, and then when I tried it, it ended up being really good. This place actually had a really easy method of cleanup. Instead of using plates, we just use paper. After we finished eating, we headed over this direction, which led to a bunch of shops. Yes, more shops. There's not really much to say here other than just enjoy the scenery. In this shop, there was actually a sign that said, "Danger, woman shopping," and my parents burst out laughing on that sign. I really like how these paintings are carved to have like a three-dimensional appearance to them. There's even a Pandora store here too. You know how in stores they have those little souvenirs that have names on them? Since my name is so common, I'm usually able to find mine so easily. But my name is actually really common that I couldn't even find any souvenirs that had my name on them. They were all sold out. In fact, I was able to find my name, but it was all empty in that segment, and it was the only spot that was empty. I mean, what are the chances of that? This place was way too crowded. I couldn't get some really good shots of this place because I didn't want people looking at me. And we were finally done with Juneau. In my opinion, so far, Juneau is way better than Sitka. I mean, that's what I expected considering, Juneau is the capital. But we only have one more location to go to, and it's even better than Juneau and Sitka. Ketchikan will be our final location that we'll be visiting for today. Now, my mom told me that Ketchikan wasn't going to have very much and we wouldn't be there for very long. But we ended up getting so much more. Compared to our Sitka and Juneau experience, at least this time it wasn't raining, which was good, so we can actually explore around the place without having to deal with the weather. But it was actually really windy today. But it's better than rain, that's for sure. Just near the entryway, there's already a little outlet store that we could go to. Roar. Sorry, too much? I like how there's a very straightforward path leading to the town area, so we can get a good glimpse of everything before we enter it. And there's even a store with the Filipino flag on it. Wow, I feel so represented. Actually, I feel too represented because along this trip, there were so many Filipinos here. I mean, it's not a bad thing, it's just there's so many. Surprisingly, I found more Filipinos on this trip than there were birds. This place kinda had a similar feel to Juneau, but it's 5 times bigger. Well, there you have it, folks. If you wonder why salmon is so famous, it's all from here. If you guys are getting bored at looking at different stores multiple times, then don't worry, we got a lot more cooler things later in Ketchikan. Now this store was definitely my favorite because they had color changing shirts. Basically, they change color when they're put under sunlight. And these pads right here is where you can test them. And here's me testing out one of them right now. And there you go, it changes instantly. Look at how cool that is. I was looking at the statue from afar and was like, what the hell are these made out of? And then I got closer and was like, oh, okay. Now this was probably the most expensive place that I've ever been into. A store filled with crystalline minerals. My brother would have loved this place. He loves crystals. I can just imagine how rich I'd feel having all of this in my home. But we know I couldn't afford any of this at all. It's no surprise that my mom was very keen on shopping, considering that we went to so many shops in every location that we went to. And now we're finally heading home. Now, remember how I said my mom told me there wasn't going to be much here? Yeah, even she was surprised by it. She was also not expecting this much. And as we're finally heading home, it's time to wrap things up. And that's pretty much everything that we did on our trip. Thank you all for watching this video. And if you made it all the way to the end of it, then I congratulate you for making it this far. I do want to inform you that this video was entirely unscripted. I didn't script anything in this video at all, which kind of explains why my words are getting all mixed up. But anyway, before we get to the actual end of this trip, there are a few things that we did to celebrate our finale. On our final night at dinner, all the waiters came in and made a dance performance for us. But where the real finale is at the Pacifica Theater. Just another warning, there will be flashing colors and lights.
Woke up wrong side of the bed, baby, it's my birthday. One more year closer to death, couldn't be your worst day. That smile ain't nothing to you, you make it look so easy. I walked up into you, trying to buy a can of beer, walk out with a case of wine. I like it when you smile, yeah. I like it when you look me up and down and say, boy, have you got the time. I like it when you smile, smile. I like it when you smile.
On my hand, like my dad taught me how to do that, and then he told me that the shorter the object you balance, the more difficult it is, and it really is like that when you think about it. So if I balance like a broom on my head, that would be easier than, say, the juggling club, but the most difficult. Here it is, guys. Check this out. You're never gonna believe this. A spoon on the nose. Said to be absolutely impossible. Here we go. All right, it is impossible. Okay, sorry. All
do on the ship. What with all the channels in your stateroom you could be watching. My favorite channel is the front of the ship channel. That's a good one. Isn't that fun? Yeah. But why would you go out to see the glacier? It's right there, honey. Come on, look. Oh, here they come. Look at the kids. I've met a lot of you people. You guys are very nice people. Out and about, you guys admit this. You ask a lot of dumb questions. I'm not going to lie about that.
With us as we sail the open seas.
Shared in all its beauty, as far as the eye can see.
So many ways to relax, and so many things to do.
The only challenge you had to face was to try all that's here for you. Whether it was dreaming beneath the stars,
Or just bathing in the sun's warm glow.
these memories will carry you wherever you may go.
And though we bid you farewell for now, as our cruise comes to an end, we hope that magic and the memories will stay with you, my friends, until we meet again.
This is the whole cast.
This is what it looks like to have an international team with an amazing audience.
And that's all for today. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.